This will be our latest addition. That's going to be for our trailer. We ordered the Renogy 200 watt solar kit. It's basically the only thing they had for sale that wasn't out of stock. So I ordered it. Basically, it's meant to be an expansion solar kit, so somebody who already has pre-existing solar built in. But I knew I could make do with what they were shipping, which is, let's go through it really quickly. 2 100 watt panels, one solar right here, solar charge controller, and it basically came with the little short pigtails for connecting and connecting to the actual solar panel. So there's no extension cord to put these things away from the solar charger, which I believe I have ordered now separately. But what I did for testing, rule number 1, and they specify this basically on every single page of their pamphlet, is you have to connect the solar charger to the battery first. So that's what I did. Now, of course, this wire is temporary. This is household wiring. I get that. So this is like a jury rig. So black is on red and white is on black because of household wiring. This is live or positive, and this is neutral. Here, this is positive and that's negative. So yes, I did swap that just because I only had household wiring to set this thing up temporarily. I also grabbed my very extremely old inverter that I bought a gabillion years ago from Canadian Tire for when I was on the road with Laidlaw, and I had to plug in my laptop when I was driving to locations, pull over to the side of the road. And if my battery was dead, which back in the day for laptops wasn't unusual for laptop batteries not to last more than 20 minutes, I bought a 400 watt inverter for my laptop. So this has been under my car seat for 15-20 years. Whichever car I had, it's always been there. I almost completely forgot about it until I cleaned the van. There it was. I said, well, let's just try it here. So what we have here is we have 200 watts connected in parallel. It has a Y junction there, so these 200 watts are connected in parallel. So there's the same amount of voltage, but double the amperage. I think that's right. Coming to the solar power converter. And then from the solar power converter, you follow this gray wire, it goes to the battery leads. And then from the battery leads, it goes to the inverter. And right now the inverter is powering my LEDs up there and our little fountain right there. So there is some draw. Again, LEDs don't have a lot of draw, but it has some draw, and that thing's 400 watts. I didn't try to figure out how many amps I'm using, probably not much. But I wanted to test this, and so here's the battery that Sandy and I got years ago for the trailer, which hasn't really been doing anything for us because we keep on plugging into powered sites, 30 amp powered sites, and using that for powering our trailer. But we do want to go off grid at some point in the future, go farther out, and not worry about getting electrical site. So everything I read, I've been watching a lot of YouTube videos for people who are full-time RVing, which is kind of interesting. And they basically have 400 to 500 watt systems, 400 to 600 watt systems on their mid-size RV. If you have a bigger RV, you're gonna probably need more wattage, but it depends on what you're running. But these guys are living 365 days a year in their RV going around America. And boondocking, what they call it, which means that you're not connecting to power and you're not connecting to sewer services, so you have to take care of everything in-house. And they're running it on, and a full-size RV with a full-size fridge, they're running it on 400 to 500 and 600 watts, going into, I will say, multiple banks of batteries. I only have one, which is, I think, all we need for now. I did some calculations. There's a bunch of websites that tell you how to calculate how many amps you're going to use for the stuff you have. And since most of our trailer is 12 volt, we won't need the inverter for anything except for the fridge, because you might remember in the videos where I showed you the Renos, we got rid of what they call the 3-way fridge, the 120 volt, 12 volt, and propane fridge, because it was a lot of space and little space inside the fridge, and it never worked even off 120 volts. Like we would have to bring it here and park it in our driveway before we went camping and plug it in overnight for the fridge to be cool enough to use during a weekend camping trip, because it would take hours for it to cool down. So we ripped that out and we replaced it with just a mini bar fridge, 120 volt mini bar fridge. Now I don't have the numbers in front of me, they're on an Excel spreadsheet, but I figured out that was well under 400 amps that fridge pulls, or 400 watts, I mean, sorry, don't want to get those confused. 400 watts the fridge uses. And so with the 120 volt, I can't remember how many watts fridge, and all the 12 volt lights and stuff that we have, the heater, the lights, and the miscellaneous stuff inside the trailer, we are well under what this thing can provide. This is a deep cycle battery, a Canadian Tire Nautilus deep cycle battery. It has 109 or 100, I can't remember now, the sticker's still on the side there. 185 amp hours, or 105, that's right, 105 amp hours. And during the day, it'll be charged up by the solar cells going through the charge controller into the battery. And at nighttime, it'll be, the fridge won't be running too much, obviously, if we keep it closed. We just have to run the lights and stuff inside the trailer, and the heater if it gets cold. So this battery should last us through the night. And again, if it dies, shuts down and doesn't have the power, we'll just connect it to the generator in the car, whatever. Not too worried about it. It's for weekend use, and in the end, I think this is a good thing for our camping trips, because now we can go and do different kind of stuff instead of always settling on powered campsites. And I'm looking forward to that. And as I say, I'm gonna let this thing run for the day. It's charging. I'm not sure, the reading means that it is charging the battery, and the battery is fully charged, so I have to figure out now. I use my ammeter here and my voltmeter, and I can't do it with holding the phone, but this thing right now has 13.70 volts, and it's going up. So this thing's supposed to stop and float at some point. I'll just let it run for a couple more hours. The battery is 2 to 3 years old. Actually, I think it's more than 3 years old, and it's never been exposed to freezing temperatures, but I think it is old, and it never got used properly. So I think that it's not shot, because it's got 13.7 volts right now after being charged, but I don't think it can be. Even our charger, our battery charger in the garage, kept on saying it needed more charge, and kept on trying to charge it. I never stopped charging it, our little Canadian Tire charger. But I'm gonna just let this run, and then we're gonna leave it on tonight even to see how long, with no solar, and how long the battery itself is gonna run the inverter to run, again, the fountain and our LED lights that are going around our gazebo. So we're gonna pull the trailer back at some point, and these solar cells are not gonna be permanently affixed to the trailer. They're gonna be, I'm gonna make a little kit for them that folds out, and we can just put it on the ground in the sun throughout the day. That way we can lock it up when we're not around, and blah blah blah. We're not going to be like full on, we're living out in the wilderness off the grid all the time, so not too worried about setting up some sort of permanent structure for the solar cells on top of the trailer. And besides, it is a camper trailer, and it does get stored in a lot for many months of the year, and we don't want these things walking away. So but so far I was impressed with how easy it was to set this thing up. Not that complicated. The wiring, plus and minus, you just have to know what you're doing on that. Don't connect the plus to a minus, and don't connect the minus to a plus. And again, what they say in the instructions, always connect the solar charger to the battery first before you plug in the solar cells into the solar charger. And that's because it'll make a vicious feedback loop, and it'll blow out your solar charger. The solar charger needs a load on the other end, so always plug in when you're setting this up. Always make sure the solar charger is connected to the battery and on, the lights are on before you plug in the solar panels. That's word to the wise. So there you go, happy with it. I can't wait to see it in the trailer, what we're gonna do there. And so this is gonna be in the trailer from now on. So everybody stay safe, take care. There's our update for the weekend. I hope everybody else is having a great weekend. I'm having fun, as always. And I'll talk to you guys soon.